Incest is one of the most forbidden acts in Igbo tribe of Nigeria. Some sins may be forgiven, some can be atoned with sacrifice and cleansing. The act of incest could be cleansed, but not just the people involved, but their families too will bear the stigma of incest to the next generation. Most times, these families would be isolated by the whole community. Other sins may be forgiven, but incest is not easily forgiven by people. That was because the process of the atonement will forever leave the culprits in a state of solitude. Some of these culprits may not bear the shame and isolations from the society. They would choose to commit suicide, which is another abominable act, because they will not be touched nor buried. Ozo was a prominent man in the Obolo community because he was a philanthropist. Ozo was the only child of his parents, so he decided to born as many kids as he could, because he knew he had more than enough resources to take care of them. At young age, Ozo was chosen by the deity of his community, so he became the Ofo bearer of his community. Aside being the Ofo bearer, he was also a great farmer with so many workers. Ozo had 7 wives from different communities and states. One of his wives, Joy, was not from the Igbo tribe. Joy had one daughter for Ozo. She was Ozo's second wife. After the birth of her daughter, Joy and Ozo had a serious misunderstanding. Joy left with her only daughter. Joy did not remarry after her separation. She decided to raise her daughter alone. Oluchi, Joy's daughter, grew up to be a very beautiful and elegant lady. She was tall, slim and dark-skinned like her mother. However, Oluchi was a very ambitious young lady. She was so much interested in politics. While in the university, she joined OPC, Our People's Choice, political party. She never missed the opportunity to join different political activities, especially rallies and campaigns. She don't only get money from these campaigns, but also connections. Meanwhile, Ozo, who was noted and respected by many people because of his generosity, never missed out any political activities. Most politicians, especially those in the state level, used his foundation for political campaigns. It is safe to say that Oluchi got her political ambition from her father Ozo, because she was very bold, focused and domineering. One day, Oluchi followed some party members from her ward to a campaign ground at Obu community. Obu was a neighbor town to Obolo community. She was one of the guest speakers. After her speech, she stepped down to greet some prominent men at the high table. That was when she met Ozo. When she shook him, there was this mutual feeling between them. Oluchi never knew her father because she was barely 3 when her mother left with her. Blood, they say, is thicker than water. Surprisingly, there was this spontaneous love strike between Oluchi and Ozo. After the campaign, she did not live with our colleagues because Ozo asked her to stay, for his sake. That night, Ozo booked a room in a hotel for Oluchi. They had enough time to discuss. Despite their obvious age difference, Oluchi flowed well in their conversation. She saw nothing wrong with having an affair with Ozo, because he was not the first married nor old man she had slept with. After that night, Ozo became restless. He completely fell for Oluchi. Oluchi knew that Ozo was married with 7 wives but was not perturbed, because Ozo had both the money and the influence she desired as a potential politician. She knew that Ozo would be of help to her. She became desperate to be Ozo's 8th wife. Ozo started taking Oluchi to some important functions. He introduced her to his rich and political friends. He rented and furnished 2-bedroom apartments for Oluchi and also bought a car for her. With Ozo's influence, she got a job inside government house. She was excited, as her political career was taking shape. Ozo proposed to her and she accepted immediately because she had been praying for that. One day, Oluchi took Ozo to her mother for introduction. She had earlier told her mother about a man that wanted to marry her. Joy prepared a very delicious meal for her potential in-law and also invited her brother to stand in as Oluchi's father and uncle. The moment Ozo sighted Joy, he collapsed. Joy couldn't believe what she saw. Oluchi was confused, running up and down as everyone was shocked and nobody was saying anything. Ozo was taken to the hospital. After his recovery, he couldn't look Oluchi nor Joy in the face. Oluchi, who had found out the truth, buried her face in shame. She locked herself in a room, drinking and smoking to ease her pain. She couldn't believe that she has been laying with her father for months. She cursed her mother severally for concealing her father's identity. The pain in Ozo's heart was not just that he slept with his daughter, but the repercussions that follows. Being the offo bearer for his community, he was in charge for cleansing of different abominable acts. Now he had committed an abomination, he knew he must go for cleansing, else his sin would affect his children. Few weeks after the incident, Ozo became very sick due to overthinking. Nobody knew about the incident except Oluchi, Joy and Joy's brother, but Ozo knew that if he did not atone for his sin, all his children would be affected. One day, Ozo made up his mind. He summoned his fellow traditionalists from different villages in his community. He confessed his sin and told them that he was prepared for the atonement. Ozo invited Oluchi. He lied to her that he wanted to introduce her to her siblings. Oluchi arrived on the day of cleansing. She was forced to go to the village square for cleansing. To cleanse incest in Igbo community, the culprits would be brought to the village square and they would be stripped naked. They will be forced to carry a calabash on their head and walk round all the villages in the community with people throwing leaves and dirt at them. Many people would accompany them to make sure that they complete the procession. After the procession, they would return to the village square. They would take their bath in the presence of everybody, after which they would take oath never to commit such acts again before they put on their clothes. Ozo and Oluchi were compelled to perform the above procession. Ozo swallowed his shame. Within him, he knew he was doing it for the safety of his children. Oluchi had never seen or heard of anything like this before in her life. She fell down many times during the procession and people dragged her up. At a time, she got tired of crying and decided to face her shame. After the procession, Ozo took Oluchi home. That night, he introduced Oluchi to his wives and children. Ozo knew that Oluchi could not bear the shame of what they passed through, so he hurried and got her visa to UK. Oluchi moved to UK barely 2 months after the cleansing. Ozo became very sick due to the isolation and stigma. His family showed him so much love during this period, because he was a good father and husband. Many people reciprocated his love and generosity but to no avail. Ozo died 6 months after the incident. Though Ozo's abomination was out of ignorance, but no matter what, no one is above the tradition. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.